Hey everyone, it's Chris Clark with discgolf.law. The Disc Golf Pro Tour has announced that they plan to relocate the FPO division at several really big, important tournaments that are coming up for the remainder of the 2023 season, while also canceling certain FPO divisions entirely. This is ostensibly to avoid further legal exposure to lawsuits and other types of legal filings from Natalie Ryan. The strategy seems to be to cancel or relocate events in states where the Disc Golf Pro Tour believes Natalie would have a good chance of successfully challenging the Disc Golf Pro Tour's gender eligibility policy in court. Keep in mind, Natalie is 2-0 against the PDGA and the Disc Golf Pro Tour so far at the trial court level. I say trial court just to describe which court she prevailed in. There has not been a full trial yet in any of the cases that she has filed. Her attempts to ask the court to require the Disc Golf Pro Tour to let her play in Elite Series events have so far been successful twice. She has prevailed at the trial court level twice. As most of us know, in California, she was only allowed to play one round of the tournament because the decision was reversed on appeal, but that decision was reversed essentially on a technicality. It was reversed on a jurisdictional issue and not anything having to do with the strength of Natalie's case on the merits. So there are 3 tournaments left this year for which the FPO division has been canceled, and there are currently attempts underway to relocate the FPO field to a different tournament in a different state. Those 3 tournaments are the Ledgestone Open, which is an Elite Plus event, the Discraft Great Lakes Open, which is a Pro Tour playoff event, and the MVP Open, also a Pro Tour playoff event. In addition, 2 upcoming silver events, the American Flying Discs Open and the Discmania Open. The FPO division of those events have been outright canceled. There will not be the opportunity for FPO competitors to have media coverage at those events or earn Disc Golf Pro Tour points at those events. As of now, there's no plans to relocate those events. The Pro Tour is not making any adjustments to the other upcoming events in 2023. The Mid-America Open, the LWS Open at Idlewild, and the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship, those events will proceed as planned. Perhaps because the Disc Golf Pro Tour believes that a legal challenge from Natalie Ryan would not be successful in Missouri or Kentucky or North Carolina. According to the Pro Tour, these adjustments have been made to protect fairness in the FPO division and to limit financial burden in locations where the PDGA policy on eligibility for gender-based divisions may become the subject of last-minute litigation harmful to the tour. That was written in a press release that came from the Pro Tour. Disc Golf Pro Tour CEO Jeff Spring stated, "Competitive fairness is the underpinning of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, the professional disc golf industry, and all of elite competitive sport worldwide. The Disc Golf Pro Tour is committed to the future of the FPO division, and in order to protect competitive fairness for the division, these changes are necessary at this time. We will not waver on the PDGA gender eligibility policy as we've adopted it for the FPO division. That said, I also want to affirm the concept that you can simultaneously respect and support transgender people and support competitive fairness for the FPO division. These are not mutually exclusive concepts, and the Disc Golf Pro Tour will continue to show respect to all people involved while thinking creatively about long-term solutions for this challenging issue." I chose to go ahead and read maybe more of Jeff Spring's statement than I ordinarily would because I really believe it is central to understanding the Pro Tour's position, or at least their public-facing position on this issue. The Disc Golf Pro Tour's recent announcement is creating some strange bedfellows. It could be said that Natalie Ryan and the FPO field have some of their interests aligned now. at this point. Natalie has come out and said that she thinks it is silly to think that this is going to cut down on the number of lawsuits. She said this is unfair to all women, not just trans women or cisgendered women, because the decision helps no one. The Pro Tour is robbing women of their careers with this decision. Natalie has said, "I will not stand for the pain they are causing all of the FPO players just to make sure they can still hurt me." So let's run through some of the questions that we've been asked most frequently since this policy was announced. The first and most common one is, why is the Disc Golf Pro Tour doing this? My best answer is we just look to their statement. They are trying to ensure fairness in the FPO division and save money, save their legal dollars. It's hard to see how FPO players or anyone are being helped by this scenario. I would be curious to know whether most FPO players, in light of the cancellation of a number of FPO events, feel like this was a move to treat them fairly. Not only does it seem this doesn't move us any closer to competitive fairness, I don't think it's going to save the Pro Tour any money either. In fact, I could even see the Pro Tour spending more money. How is the Disc Golf Pro Tour going to be able to run multiple Elite Plus events or playoff events at multiple different locations in different states? Won't the Pro Tour have to hire a significant amount of additional staff people in order to implement this policy? We've also been asked, why did the Disc Golf Pro Tour choose such a seemingly drastic option when it likely would have been cheaper and easier for them to just let Natalie play for now, while the legality of the Pro Tour's policy works its way through the courts? Does the Pro Tour have other motivations? Well, possibly. I think it's been suggested that the Pro Tour might be trying to lay the demise of the FPO division at Natalie's feet, but I just don't see how that helps their stated long-term strategy. Natalie has shown us she does not back down to pressure or attention. In fact, I think the opposite is true. There's lots of smart people at the Disc Golf Pro Tour. They've got lots of smart people advising them, and maybe this policy is part of a sophisticated strategy that we just don't understand yet. I'm willing to leave the door open for that possibility. I would just keep in mind that letting this play out through the courts will likely take years, possibly a decade or more. We've been asked whether the Pro Tour could be opening itself up to additional legal liability with this decision. And the answer is maybe. Let's run through it. We first would, in order to do this analysis, look for anyone that might be financially harmed by the Pro Tour's decision. For example, could FPO players themselves suffer financial harm as a result of these events being canceled or relocated? Theoretically, yes, but it's hard to know exactly what those damages would be because we can't predict who is going to win or cash at particular tournaments on any given weekend. So those kind of losses are speculative at best, especially if additional events will be scheduled at the same time where FPO players could theoretically go and play and win money to offset those losses. What about FPO players who travel together with MPO players while on tour, some of whom have families, have children traveling with them? What financial impact will this decision have on them? It's easy to imagine that many FPO players have put down non-fundable housing deposits on tour stop cities. And given what we know about the realities of tour life budgets, now having to pay for extra places to stay and extra transportation for many of these players could be a deal breaker. And what about sponsors? Just to follow on to the last point that we made, player sponsors may be asked to step up and contribute or support their players financially in ways that they hadn't planned on doing in order to subsidize their budget and cover the added costs involved with implementing this policy. Disc Golf Pro Tour sponsors may have a legitimate claim here, depending on how the Pro Tour handles this. Disc Golf Pro Tour sponsors pay for a sponsorship package that includes having a certain amount of sponsor collateral visible at the tournaments for both the MPO and FPO fields. Is the Disc Golf Pro Tour going to double the amount of sponsor collateral available so that that collateral can still be present and visible at all professional tour events? If not, should Disc Golf Pro Tour sponsors be expected to live with a drastically reduced number of viewers, both in person and over streaming? I imagine event sponsors have the same concerns. What about spectators? I'm sure by now a lot of spectators have bought tickets and made travel arrangements and made plans to attend and spectate these events with the understanding and expectation that both MPO and FPO fields would be present. I assume if MPO and FPO events are held simultaneously on the same weekend in different states, it's reasonable to expect there to be a significant drop in spectator viewing. If I had booked a week-long trip to Ledgestone expecting I was going to get to see my favorite MPO and FPO players, and then finding out about this policy just a few weeks beforehand, I would be upset. So ultimately the answer is yes, there are conceivable ways in which the Pro Tour's decision could have a financial harm ripple effect throughout these various people that we've mentioned and others. But if you really think about it, it's unlikely that these are the kind of claims that would give rise to any kind of legal action or litigation. The dollar amounts involved just aren't big enough to justify that. This may be a reputational harm for the Pro Tour, or it may not. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I don't see a lot of people coming out of the woodwork to make financial or legal claims against the Pro Tour over this. We've also been asked about how this recent policy announcement and the PDGA and Disc Golf Pro Tour's policies in general would be interpreted in places like Canada or Europe. I will note that one of the silver events, the Discmania Open, was to have taken place in Canada, and now the FPO division has been outright canceled for that event. Other than that, I don't really have a lot to say about Canadian or European law and how it would view the Pro Tour's policy or the PDGA's policy. I just don't know enough about it, but I'm interested in it and eager to see how that plays out. We've also had several people suggest, well, couldn't the answer just be a trans-only division? I don't think so. I don't think that solves any legal problems. According to the reasoning of the trial court in California and the trial court in Minnesota, preventing Natalie from competing in any division other than a female protected division would be a violation of those states' laws. This decision from the Pro Tour seems drastic, and it doesn't seem like it solved anything. And it seems it could potentially create a whole new universe of potential new problems for the Pro Tour and others. I'm willing to wait and give the Pro Tour the benefit of the doubt and see how this plays out. Is this the right move for the Pro Tour? And if not, what should they have done? Let us know in the comments, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks.